speak. A fake of the heart, a fake and a freak. He drained me of hope, that blood through a sea. And now you must pay for me to never leave. For my heart is willing and your flesh, it is wicked.
The views expressed in the following show are of the host, the guest, and the callers. The content of the following show, its accuracy, authenticity, and the ramifications of the use or application of said content is the responsibility of those speaking and listening, not the broadcast medium. Here we are. I'm back, and we are live. Feet to the Fire. I'm your host, James Arthur Jancic, or Jancic, if you'd like to get into the Czech, or the Bohemian, I should say, background. We are live, broadcasting via YouTube and Spreaker. Been doing the show in their 16th year. Coming up, January 5th will be the start of year 17. Lord willing, the creek don't rise. I don't pass out and die. Last week I was pretty ill. Not pretty ill. Pretty ill means like, I should go to the hospital. I mean, I was sick. And normally I bounce out of that stuff like nothing. We went to get something to eat and probably got food poisoning. But it took days. I spent the whole Sunday, basically doing nothing, staring into space, loading up on herbs, wellness pills by Source Natural I like to use. It took days. I don't know what's going on with that. I was in the hospital a couple years ago, or a year ago or so, and I don't know. I think it took something out of me. And here we are. But what's actually taking things out of me is the last show I did 2 weeks ago was on the evidence against direct energy weapons being used in California to start fires, which the evidence I thought was overwhelming. And yet, when I went to post it and one of the other documents that I used for some of the evidence, very well done, and I went and posted it throughout the internet. Whenever I saw a story on the obvious use of direct energy weapons, or DEWs, in the California fires, I would post that. And I thought, well, people will see the evidence and we'll stop saying that, because my thinking is by saying there's direct energy weapons starting the fires, it completely allows a plausible denial of the whole concept of arson starting the fires, and more than just arsonists, but actually perhaps planned by some nefarious, world order plan or what have you, which it's written out everywhere. And so I wanted to clear it out. If it is DEWs, fine, and the evidence I thought was so obvious, it was overwhelming that it wasn't DEWs. Now, could it be DEWs? Yeah, it could, but the overwhelming evidence of something other than DEWs was overwhelming. It was obvious. It was like, there you go. Pictures and video from 1961 in the Bel Air fire showing the same things, trees, quote, alive. The houses burnt down to the ground to nothing, and then I showed evidence that these trees that are alive, probably many of them will not be soon, because they may have, they'll be dying a cellular death as the heat destroyed enough of the cells that a lot of the trees will die, and there's whole big ways to try and find out. and the logical arguments about how embers landing in trees would burn out, put out by the tree itself and the water they're in, where they landed on dry wood roofs, and how wood that's inside your house, which is completely bone dry, would burn up like tinder compared to the trees. All the evidence that was out there. The pictures that showed cars all burned out there's no reference points. It might not even be from this country. In fact, I saw some pictures that were later on after we did the show that was actually taken from Iraq or Iran or not Iran, Afghanistan or somewhere like that, where they've actually bombed out the areas. And they've just said they're in California. I mean, well, they could have just said they're in California. I mean, I had not been to Afghanistan to recognize the scenery, but and all this together, I thought, and I was just absolutely floored by the overwhelming amount of people who, said, okay, well, that's interesting, and went on continuing, well, knowing that it was news. And even more so, the people who attacked me and said, well, why don't you do some research instead of just, I forgot how they said it, not kibitzing, but yeah, that's the right word, but instead of sitting there being critical. Obviously, you didn't see the video. That's called research. And I was just like, I'm dumbfounded. And then something set in that should have set in a long time ago, from way before my our internet show and radio show, syndicated show days, well before Art Bell, all the way back through my Bible studies, going all the way back to, something should have set in that I sure know now. That people don't, it's not like like I wrote in the bottom here, it's not that people can't handle the truth, like in A Few Good Men, that movie. People don't want the truth. They don't want to know the truth. They want to know what they want to be. And if they even bother to back that up, other than just have their knowingness and their own personal truth, well, I know because the Holy Spirit told me, because a particular line of science or thought says it, and that's it, or because this is what my parents taught me, or whatever political party or whatever ideological format. It just is. And the person who is searching for truth, bringing up evidence that would be contrary to the worldview or the paradigm, becomes an enemy. People don't want to know the truth. So what the hell am I doing here? Now, granted, I'm not saying I have the truth. I am the one, the man. You talk to me. What I say, no. That's not what I'm saying. So don't even start with that. It's the whole premise of feet to the fire. In fact, the term putting your feet to the fire is testing whatever it is out in reality. The whole premise of it, and the whole premise of my Bible studies before this, and even going back to my youth watching the 21st century Union Carbide production, I was always in to learn, how does this work? And is this into science, thinking science really wanted to know the truth. That's just another political sham. Of course, there are people along the way who do want that, either get caught up in whatever it is, or they do go against it and end up getting thrown out. I chose the latter. And consistently, whether it be relationships, whether it be churches, whether it be scientific discussions, whether it be all of this, whatever it is, doesn't matter. There's going to be people who are going to look at you, you're a troublemaker. You always got to cause trouble. You always got to ask why. You always got to put this thing on. Hey, that's what I'm made of. When I was born, the joke is I didn't ask mom and dad, mommy, daddy. My first words were why. I wanted to know. I used to make my mom read signs to me when I was a couple years old, and I made myself learn to read because I couldn't stand not knowing. And in fact, in those days, my mom had to tell me, please don't tell the teacher in kindergarten you can read already, because you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to go along with the program. And I am by no means tooting my own horn. I've been looking for years for someone or a group to help find truth, because of my inadequacies in doing so. Because I know I don't have truth. I'm looking for it, and I find it along the way, and I'm constantly rebuilding my paradigm and my life's model based on logical, critical thought, evidence. And I don't mean, it goes beyond just the observable science. It goes into thinking about reality, philosophically, spiritually. And I've went from one teacher of philosophy to another to be let down again and again, because when I bring up a problem with the party line, whether it be the church doctrine for whatever particular denomination or New Age, I got tossed out of astrology classes. I've got, been called a heretic of churches. These are not things. I'm not saying this because I'm the man. I don't like it. I'm unhappy about it. I'm like, I just want to know. So if I come up with a contradiction and it becomes an argument, people look at the social justice warriors and say, look at them, how they, but they see Trump and they all go nuts. Hey, everybody else is doing it too. What about Q? You go up to QAnon and go, wait a minute. I don't think this is somebody who's either guessing along with us or pulling legs or both. And if you want to look for that, go look at things like Searching the Apocalypse, the Godlike Productions. These are all way back in the day. They're still around. Rumor Mill News, where their whole goal was coming up with some story and trying to make it fly. Right? This has been around forever. This goes back to before the beginning, if you will. Whether it be to try and get followers, get money, to get power, to whatever, or just screwing with your head. Yeah, I got that person to believe me. It's been going on forever. You question it? What, don't you have faith? No, I don't have faith, quite frankly. I don't have faith in humanity. Do we need to look throughout history? How far back and how far wide do we need to look throughout history? Yeah, there have been people who stepped up. Yeah, there have been great people and wonderful people and nice people. And yes, I think God created humans and that God is in the inside of all people, but you got to let them out. And that's the free will aspect of it. People don't want to know truth. They want to know what they want to know. And then when they know it, if they'll accept evidence, it'll be something that supports it. And it's science, religion, philosophy, politics. It don't matter how you grow your garden. But the people who seek reality, who seek truth, who want to understand, who find out a different way, a better way. Hey, I didn't realize that. I've been doing it wrong. Now I'm right, or I'm more right, I should say, because no one's ever right. They're more right or less wrong. Because nobody knows it all. Nobody's got it together. These guys you see here in the pictures, I got it from the opening. They all have said things that are pretty good. I mean, I like Socrates who's in the middle, who says the only thing we know is that we don't know. Now, that doesn't mean we can't make a plane fly because we learn gravity. Right? So you know things along the way. And they've been proven over and over and over. I mean, from the Wright brothers on, from what's his name? Leonardo da Vinci in his machines which fail, which not even close to work. But again, stepping out into that creative unknown. So now they can fly. So you're going along the way and learning. And you're adapting, and you're finding out what works, and you keep on keeping on. And so this thing with the direct energy weapons, I'm stunned. One of the actual uses of direct energy weapons is HARP, directed energy weapon. I'm going to direct energy from here to send it over there, and that's what HARP does. It directs it from the ground, and it sends it up at a point in the sky. It goes, I want to go, 2,000 feet and 10 over to the left, right there, and boom, it puts the energy there. Do you see it? No green beams coming up to the sky, no flashes of light. Laser beams, you can't see them. The pictures they have of using actual laser beam weapons that the government has, you can't see it. It shoots off. There it is sitting there shooting, can't see it. You look at the target, there's nothing there, then it starts to smoldering, and then it bursts out into flames, it explodes. The 9/11, the buildings 9/11, Dr. Jody Wood put some good evidence forth that there'd be directed energy weapons to dustify, as she puts it, to break apart the molecules in work that John Hutchinson has done. Did you see a beam in the sky in 9/11? The John Hutchinson, if you've seen those 16-millimeter film that he took of his original work, did you see anything out of there? Any beams? All you saw was the lead bar or aluminum bar. I forgot it was lead or aluminum, liquefying, kind of wiggling like gelatin, jellifying. And then when he stops it, he picks it up, touches it, it's cold because it wasn't heat moving around those molecules. It was the directed energy weapon. So, yeah, they exist. Yeah, there are sins out there. Yeah, there are people who want to burn down sections of the country for whatever political or geopolitical reasons. They don't need to have direct energy weapons. And by sticking with this, and by golly, sticking with it, that's it. You can have your opinion, I'll have mine. No, there's no opinion in reality. All right, opinions mean, I don't know, but here's what I think. And when evidence comes in and makes things to be more then your opinion changes to be more an informed opinion, which changes with the evidence. So, am I pissed? Yeah, I'm pissed. You know what I'm also pissed about? I'm pissed at Alex Jones. All these years I've been dealing with Alex Jones' personality, right? Because through InfoWars, a lot of information comes up. The whole last group I have read classic psychology, philosophy. I'm raised in the chat room. They come up with all kinds of, especially in the last election, it was valuable for stuff. And you got Alex Jones with all the stuff going on in the world, knowing he's got a big audience, knowing he can have a place for truth. There he is, mugging it up again, yet again. Going through his, and they're going to come and I'll eat you and I'll burn you in his microphone. I'm like, don't you understand? You have a calling that's way higher than your freaking ego. You got people who are on the MSM absolutely lying, propaganda lying to attack and destroy this country. And there's Alex Jones on the microphone. I want to just knock him in the head. Slap, like said, like, what, how do you do that at that deal? I don't mean violent. I mean, hey, what's the matter with you? I can't take it. I can't take this stuff anymore. It's driving me crazy. The stakes are so high. The stakes are so high. They're so high. All the world's already fallen already. Some of the world is rolled over. You got Canada just walking into the new world order going, hey, how you doing? Yeah, whatever you want. No problem. China, people commend China. Why? Because they've subdued their population and made them into a bunch of marching ants, worker bees. What? With the whole Russia collusion thing. Russia spies. Yeah, Russia plays games. The United States does many, as much or worse. But they've already stood up to the New World Order. They've already been through their Bolshevik. Their version of what we're going through now. They've been through it, come through it, and now they know what it is personally. They've had war on their soil. They know what it is. And of course, they're going to be ones that are going to be targeted, not China. China with the war, and Trump comes up with the tariffs because China's been taking advantage of the greed of Americans, people who want to pay less, and those who want to spend less when they create it so that they can just knock people out of jobs, but they got a better deal. I mean, again, this is the reality of it. It's China's fault. It's our fault. Trump standing in there and making a change. Yeah, prices may go up. Yeah, the blessed consumer may have to pay more because they're actually going to send money to like Arkansas or North Carolina instead of sending it to Beijing. And it may cost you a little more. That's just too bad. I don't know. It's like you look all around, you see truth all around, you see reality all around you, pieces of it waving at you. It's all over the place. And it's like, no, please, no, I don't want to see it. Please, no. No, and if you dare to bring me a piece of that reality, I'm going to, and don't give me the social justice warriors doing it. They do, right? What happens? I'm talking about the new weapons. I got guys, hey, why don't you try and do some research? Hey, why don't you? Well, I still believe this stuff. I don't care what you believe. Your beliefs mean nothing. You could believe the fly. Does that mean you will? Unless you have ticket on a plane. I've just had it. No, Alex used to be kind of cute. It was like novel. But when he went video, that's when I really started to see how phony that stuff is. Now, it's got nothing to do with the truth of what he's talking about. He's talked about many things over the year. His videos were pretty good. Endgame and all those videos are pretty good. Why? Because he's not mugging it up in there with his goofiness. So yeah, he shouldn't get thrown off of Twitter and Facebook. Or no, of course that's censorship. Yeah, they're trying to stop the information going out, but he's doing a good enough job. He's doing a good job making it easier on him by being a knucklehead. David Knight, if you listen in the morning, David Knight's probably the best guy there because he's coming up with, he's an engineer, a retired engineer or former engineer. He uses critical thought and thinking. He's got evidence, and he's not mugging up for the camera. So I mean that's something that's pretty good. Except trouble, I shouldn't say the trouble. You listen to David Knight, it's a haul. It's like all it is constant. What's wrong? Well, you need to know it. You need to have people calling the whistle. I got it. I'm not criticizing him for it. In fact, I'm commending him how he puts a show together. And then Alex Jones. Well, he's working for the Jews because his wife was Jewish. It's just that I dated a Jewish lady once. So what am I? Does that mean that I'm got the cabal or something on it? Oh, Alex Jones killed. He killed. What's his name? Yeah, Cooper. Killed William Cooper. He killed or took over. He's actually that comedian who has now changed his name, doing stuff. And I go look at the comedian. I go, yeah, okay. There's a similarity in how they look a little bit, like maybe like brothers at best. Yeah, there's some topic stuff, but the comedian guy was much better speaker, talker. It's not him. It's not the Jesuits. It's not the Jews. It's not any of those people. It's all of them and everything put together. And when you pick out one of them and you go after one of them, all you're helping is the other. It's like going after one of the crime families in the old mafia days or whatever. You're going to pick one of the, going back to Godfather, you're going to pick one of the 5 families and go to them. And that's going to be like, well, see, they're the cause of everything. No, they're one of the cause. The cause is both ignorance and the cause of problems is do as thou wilt. Do as thou wilt and be stupid. Those are the causes of all the problems in the world. Because you got the people doing as thou wilt, and you going like, oh, really? Oh. And I've been duped many times. Don't take this as me sitting here in my high and mighty horse going, I'm not, I'm awoke. It's another thing. Awoke? Who's awake out there? Raise your hands. You notice my hand's not risen. Why? Because I'm in the process of waking. How do you know if you're awoke until you're awoke? You're blind. Get 50% of your eyesight done. Are you no longer blind? Well, I can see. Are you 100%? No. How do you know that? I couldn't see before. Now I can see 50%. I'm a happy guy. You're not completely unblind yet. Yeah, see, you're already starting. Alex Jones spread this lie to cover up this, that, everything. See, you got to get out of that drama. You got to get out of the Alex Jones drama. You got to get out of the left-right drama. You got to get out of all of this drama because the drama is drowning us. We're drowning in drama. We are amusing ourselves to death. Great book, written long before the internet. What has Facebook done? It allows you to be the center of your universe. Look, I got a tan today. Don't you like my tan? Oh, look, I painted this painting. Oh, look, how do you like my new nails? Hey, I can bench press to 300 pounds. Check it out. I mean, it's become the narcissist breeding ground extraordinaire. They had trouble because social media was actually used to put out information, especially in the last election. Corruption's coming out through it. Problem. So what do? You start turning off all those channels. Yeah, you know what? I happen to go along with the supplements that Jones puts out. I think they're pretty good. But that's like beside the point. And all the commercials he's got on there. But I'm not mad about any of that. I'm pissed off because Alex Jones puts his ego front and center and will say some really stupid things that he feels good. He gets mad and he'll start. I heard him this last week, and I just got, that's it, I'm done. I am done. I mean, he could come up with the cure for cancer, and I wouldn't know about it because I'm not listening anymore. I'm tired of it all. I'm tired of Facebook. I'm tired of going through my feed, and these people are ones who wanted to be my friend based on this show. For the most part, I have a handful of people, really, that I know outside of the show that's in Facebook. These people join because of the show, and then they come up with some of the most crazy stuff. They come up with quotes that haven't been looked up. You know, John Lennon's basically supporting Trump a year after he died. No evidence. You know, the way things are set up now is that when you have a quote like that, all you got to do is put it into Google, and you'll find 15 debunking sites. Well, that's because they're on the left and they're supported by, yeah, you know, that's another thing. You go to these debunking sites, and a lot of them are politically motivated. They'll take a political, ideological view over science or facts, right? That's true. They've got caught many times. But there's many stuff there that isn't. It has nothing to do with politics, got nothing to do with the grand plan or the New World Order or whatever. It's just about whatever it is. So one time I cited Snopes about a microwave, a false microwave meme in our that was going around about how microwave you microwave water and you water plants and they die. I picked it apart on the false pictures they used, but they did that and they went other ways. And I just, rather than me write all this out, I just made a reference to that site. And the person's like, "What? Are you crazy? You're going to use Snopes as an example? What's the matter with you?" And banned me. What? Snopes can be right, especially if it doesn't have a political reason for it. Why would they? I mean, it could be lazy or whatever. So I don't believe anybody all the time anyway. People make honest mistakes. People make purpose mistakes, if you want to call it that. Yeah, I work better when I'm pissed off. Thanks. I don't feel better when I'm pissed off, right? I don't know. Why am I doing this? I mean, now I'm not, there's people out there who, you know, understand what I'm saying and they agree or whatever. So I'm not talking, you know, and the people who don't agree aren't going to be watching anyway. So it's kind of like dumb for me to say this, I guess. But maybe somebody will bump into it, you know. But I'm not dealing with it anymore. I'm not going to waste. I'm 61. I've gone through so much crap in my life. A lot of it a lot of it my choices. Ignorant, belligerent, whatever my reasons are. I'm not sitting here moaning, okay? But I don't have time to waste anymore. I'm working too many hours per week just to survive. So that I can sit down here and someone says to me, you know, hey, there's a good article about this person who talks about, you know, somebody channeling some healing thing from, you know, I've been through all it. Been there, done that. 99% of it is all garbage. It's either actual entities screwing around with the people channeling them and having a fun time, an ego-based time, or they're actually phony, or they're crazy. That's 99.99% of them. And if I'm going to lose that 0.0001 at this point, fine. At this point, I'll trust God to make a path. If I need to know it, I'll know it. And many times in my life, things have fallen right in front of my lap when I needed to know it. And times I beat my head trying to find out things and only found deceptions. So there's a synchronicity with the universe. You can work with it, where things will come to you. They'll come to you when you're ready. You know, what's that phrase? When you're ready, the teacher will come and all that. Well, there's truth to that. When you're ready, the information will come. And I think what I have been belligerent and beating my head against the universe with is, oh, well, you know, people out there, if they just had good information, it would be different. Wrong. Well, if You know, if you just explain it one more time and use one more metaphor or one more analog or one more example, then they'll get it. Wrong. It's the, you know, Jesus, and of course, Jesus, my example, says it right out. Don't be unequally yoked. Don't give your pearls to the swine. They'll turn around and bite you. A dog returns to his vomit, a pig to its sty, et cetera, et cetera. It's all there. And I just want to know. I just want to know the truth. I want to know reality. I want to learn it. That's all. I've learned so many things I didn't like at all. I've changed my doctrinal belief system in God, which is, to me, the biggest thing you can change. Because the evidence and the rationality of it, plus also, I do get inspiration that does pan out with these things. I'll be looking at a verse and I'll think, I gotta check out that word or that phrase. There's something there. And there is. That little itch came from somewhere, and I honor that itch. But something else, it's not just the itch. I don't listen to the itch and take it as gospel. Forgive the pun. I take the itch and go digging. When I was teaching Bible school, Sunday school, back when I was in a fundamental Baptist, I would spend, 7 hours putting together a lesson for 45 minutes. Because I wanted to know. I've spent hours, in fact, probably at the neglect of my family to some degree, I spent hours researching at times on weekends. Of course, I had a lot more time off back in the day. I worked 3 days a week, got paid for the 5-day equivalent. Not anymore. So I had more time to kill, but I would spend hours talking on the line, directly, back before the internet, talking to FidoNet boards, to the Jehovah's Witnesses. Their actual website, their actual people, not listening to propaganda from anti-Jehovah's Witness people, from them themselves, listening to maybe their propaganda, but from them, which I then, of course, went into the Bible and checked out. Same thing with the Mormons, or Latter-day Saints, they're called now. Spent hours and hours and hours talking to these people, to learn what their doctrines are. And then I learned from people who used to be in their group, who brought up some of the more secret stuff. I learned it. So when someone wants to talk to me about the theology of the Latter-day Saints or Jehovah's Witnesses, I can tell you. I can give you, here's why I think why. And the same thing goes when you're talking about the Montauk experiments, or if you want to talk about Philadelphia experiments. I used to think the Philadelphia spirit was possible, especially they got the pictures, with the cables that are cut on that ship. And then I heard that Al Bielek. I heard Al Bielek's story. I thought, he was supposed to be on it. Then I heard that Al Bielek wasn't on, Al Bielek wasn't on the ship. The person's consciousness was in their alive person. And then what happened is their consciousness was given into the Al Bielek body. And that was awoken when he saw the movie with Kirk Douglas about it. I heard that. I was like, what? That's absolutely ridiculous. So, talk about a weak link in the argument. I just threw all of Al Bielek overboard. It's ridiculous. And then all you have to do is look into some of the experiments they did back in the day for trying to use, to hide themselves, which is the point of the Philadelphia experiment, was to hide yourself from the enemy, right? And what they used to do is they would put high-powered lights on the ship. So when they came in during the sunrise, they would shine these lights, and it would be like, how you get that mirage effect when you're on the road and you see the heat rising at the horizon. That's the kind of effect they were doing. That would explain the high-power cables. Done. Oh, there are people caught in the steel bar. Their bodies are hanging out. Really? Where's the pictures? Oh, Al Bielek told me about Al Bielek. I remote viewed it. Forget it. Angels told me. Ascended masters. Forget it. It's all meaningless. It's all blah, 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 blah. So this is what I've listened to. I've went back in the Art Bell days, starting the show in 2003 in January, went through all of the show up to this point. And it's all, and 90% of it's all crap. 99% of it's all crap. How about, I can say, well, what about what's that called? The MK Ultra. That's declassified documents. Can't say that's phony. Read the documents. Yeah, they're redacted. Probably don't want to admit to all of the pain and suffering, deaths, crazy, that they've caused doing it. But the program was probably junked because of the results weren't dependable. Yeah, you could break somebody into many personalities. Yeah, you could encode stuff in it, but then they turn out to be go nuts when you need them. And oh well. So what you do is you use the Ultra MK Ultra to kind of get a patsy ready, and then you have the guys who have no souls, who are psychopaths who like to kill for money. You have them waiting in the wings. You go into the place. He's the patsy. The real guys shoot up the place and make sure the patsy dies in the process, and they go off. That's probably the extent of it. Super soldiers, they're probably people who have implanted memories. Yeah, I was a super soldier. I killed 300 people. I did this. No, probably you didn't. This is in your head. You believe it. It's real. I'm not saying it isn't. You've been violated. You've been brainwashed. You've been brain ruined. You've been brain beaten. And it's terrible, and it's wrong. But you probably can't, like, fly. Like, you're not Spider-Man on the walls or whatever the superness of it is. And yet these people, and I feel for them, that is their whole thing in life. They lean on their super soldierness, or they got nothing. Of course, there are people who are using this, manipulating it like snake oil salesmen along the way, too. This is 99% of all this stuff. I went out into the internet, open, and let's see it. Okay, I'm excited. Now I gained enough power by doing the show for years. I got enough of a reputation. I can call up people who are on coast to coast. They come on my show. I can ask them questions in case, especially Nori wouldn't ask. Art Bell was pretty good with the questions. I'd have a question in my mind, and Art Bell would ask it. I'd be able to ask him questions. I'd be able to, and I would make him answer things instead of, and I would do this stuff because I didn't have any axe to grind. I wanted to know. So I got to have a lot of people on, and that was good. But here I sit right now after 16, it's going to be 16 actual years on January 5th. And what I have come up with is most of it is all BS. That's okay. There's my 16 years package. There's my gift to you all. You can go online, feettofireradio.com, and you can go back to my oldest surviving show, which is in February of that year I started, 2003. Go through it all. It's all free. You can see everything I've done. I've changed my mind on things. I've changed my opinion. I've changed my outlook. I've changed things along the way. You might go back to earlier show and you'll hear me say this, but I'll say, no, I've changed now because I've had seen things. I've thought about it, the logicness, the evidence, the other stuff, and I've changed. But I think some people can listen to this stuff like watching a soap opera. Soap opera has to be the absolute bottom rung of drama, of fictional drama. It is the bottom base. And yet, when I was in high school, I used to come home, I'd get home right when some General Hospital was on, and I'd end up just sitting there relaxing and watching. I got into some of the characters. Hey, I like Dr. Hardy, and then there was Jeff Weber, who later on went to be MacGyver, and, But if you want to look at it as actual, does it make you think? Science fiction or drama will have a point to make you think that, no, it's like everybody. I mean, everyone, there should be all idiots in these fictional towns because everybody has kids with everybody and they're all having kids with each other. It's ridiculous. That is what I think about most of this stuff on the internet radio. It's all it's the equivalent of soap opera to people really trying to find reality. That's how I look at it. Maybe it's a slight exaggeration, not much. And yet you have people who do the shows that have 1 million people following them and all this stuff because they feed it. I mean, maybe they're better at it. I'm not saying, but the point is that they will feed people like UFO stories. Come on, and here's a juicy UFO story. We're not going to critically analyze it to see if it's possible, what else could happen, and could it be a government thing? Could it be multi-dimensional beings? In other words, like visions put in your head by demons or whatever you want to call them from another dimension. It's in order to, if I can use the word succeed in classic sense, you have to find your audience and you have to feed them. Sometimes maybe you got to kick them in line a little bit. Sometimes you got to widen up what you're doing a little bit. You bring a little more in. Maybe some of the audience is going to go like, whoa, wait a minute, you're accepting this? And then you got to go, well, I want to make my audience more, so I got to kind of make broader. So I'll come up with some clever way to kind of, this is what people who do radio shows do. They're doing radio shows to get audience. And if they can spread truth out along the way, fine, but we're not going to let it get in the way. We're going to take and find, and we're going to put up a little siren call in a certain area and pull people in. Back in the 60s and 70s, you'd had late night radio, and the radio stations would be lax. Who would be on it? It would be more esoteric topics. It would be more. It wouldn't be the news of the day. It would be, everything from like, hey, what can you do to get better gas mileage to a UFO or something. Because at night nobody listened, so the radio stations went like, what do we got to lose? So Art Bell comes along, he says a couple of UFO words, the boards light up, and he ends up having 500 stations in the first year. Why? Nobody was listening. He tapped into an audience. And Art Bell himself called himself a showman. He wouldn't try and find truth. He would stoke the fires, and people would get, I remember that guy who was traveling in time. He had this time traveler guy. So obvious the guy was either nuts or lying, or both. Art Bell, oh, that's fascinating. In fact, I learned out when Art Bell said, that's really fascinating. That meant that's a lot of BS. But his job was to build a show, and he did. So I'm not criticizing him. He's now dead. But I'm not criticizing him because he said he was a truth seeker. He was a showman. And he put on a show. What I'm talking about are people out there saying we're truth seekers. We're awake. Are you awake? Are you still dumb? Are you still held down? If you would understand like me, then you would be awake. Come be awake with me. I'll show you the truth. That's who I'm pissed off about. And this is where I've reached. I'm just, I don't know. I've just had it. And it's not that it would be easy to read in one of my things is, hey, I want to be popular. I want to do that for a living. I want to have 1 million listeners or viewers. I want to make the money doing it. And it's not fair. Those guys, I'm as good as those guys. Not it. I assure you it's not it. I would rather drive a truck than do bullshit on the air. I'd rather do that. I don't like it, but I'd rather do that because it's somewhere along the line, you got to have some kind of integrity. And it's prostitution that these people are doing. And they're getting paid for it. They're millionaires, a lot of them. They can walk away from it now if they want to. Rigo would let them, and they're set for life. Some of them aren't that well paid, but I'm not going to prostitute myself. That's it. I've never been asked to go on to the deep state or the New World Order payroll. I've never been asked, so it's not even like, I stood up against them. They wanted me, they offered me Ferraris, and I said, no, I want to have a 2003 Honda CVR. I want to have what would that be, a 15-year-old car. It works. I'm happy, God bless. But so this is where I'm at. I don't care about Loch Ness Monster. It was interesting at a time. They got pictures. There's no reference points. There's no reference points in the picture. It's worthless. It's kind of fun or cool, but as far as finding truth, worthless. Someone tells me that, God told me this. Worthless. Or an alien told me. Worthless. Unless there is a tether with reality. Got to show up here somehow, somewhere. And it doesn't mean it's from a benign source. But at least that shows you the source has something. Whether it be a hidden camera. I got plenty of cameras here. I guess they could turn them on remotely, though I do shut everything off. So the chat room's been busy here while I've been going off. I haven't read any of this stuff. So I don't know what's going on in there. I'm not going to start because I'll get lost. But as I've been following the news, Mueller is getting ready to come out with a bombastic report on Trump. They're going to harass him to death in the House. They're going to ask for everything. They're going to look at his tax return and say, wait a minute, you bought a roll of toilet paper here. I don't know. I think that's inappropriate. You're going to prison. They're going to do whatever it takes to get him. They don't want to see him gone. They don't want to just have him. They want to put him in prison, and they want him to die and suffer in prison. Those are words from one of the, I don't know if it was, I forgot which FBI or CIA bigwig said that. They want him to, you know why they want that? Because they want to make a lesson. Say, don't anybody ever get the idea again that you can come in from the outside and come in here and tell us what to do. No way. That's why Hitler, in his, of course, this is going to be like Hitler and Trump, right? But no, Hitler took Germany from, this before he started ovens, all right? He took Germany from being a completely bankrupt, desolate country to being the #1 power in Europe in 5 years. That's worse than anything. That's what, no matter how many Jews he killed or Hungarians or whatever, that's secondary. The world economic system went like, this guy almost took over the world. It took the entire freaking world to beat him. That's how strong his economic, whatever packet thing was, and with the people working with it. That model, regardless of who it is and whoever benign person it may be, cannot be used again. That's why they compare Trump to Hitler, not because of racism and all that. Hitler was a race, nationally based on the German race, and you could be other colors if you work with us, but it was a racist-based thing. It was a national socialist thing. It was actually a socialism, all right? But the reason why they compare Trump to Hitler is not because of the racism part. They have to make that up to make it stick. It's because of the national-based economic plans that he's doing. Because it works. And it's got nothing to do with Hitler. It's the plans that works. It doesn't matter. That's why they don't like him. Because they don't have pictures of him with little girls or boys or whoever that they can blackmail him. They don't have the years of going through the system, being compromised, and selling your soul to get in there. He walks in from left field with a pocket full of money. The Republicans don't give him a dime. He pays for his whole thing, walks in, he's got an economic plan that'll work. People get elect him, and they are pissed off. And they will do whatever it takes. And the reason why they're not bashful about it anymore, they're on the air, they're saying things that are so ridiculous, is because they don't care. Because Trump goes, and then we go. They're going to grind us into the ground like powder, because they'll be damned if this will ever happen to them again. They're that close. And there's a chink in it, and that's what they're doing. It's got nothing to do with Trump and his tweets, and it's got to do with the whole program and the nationalistic ideas that are now, as you see, spreading around the world. That you can have a nation, and nations can work together, but it's the EU is coming out and speaking boldly about how their states have to give up sovereignty. And they're pissed off. The guy's yelling and pissed off about it. I put the video up. They're pissed off about it. It's like, hey, they have to be expected to give up their sovereignty. Damn it. Because it's part of this plan to run the system like this. And, of course, then you have the people who are arguing about ridiculous things. Red Christmas trees. Give me a break. See, I can't take this stuff. Because when I hear this stuff, my brain starts to, turn. It's like, this is stupid, irrelevant propaganda, and it's like sticking nails in my head, or it's like eating poison or something. It does something to me biophysical chemically, where my brain starts to just like this when I hear the bull that's out there. And I just not gonna do it anymore. I'm also thinking about how to do these shows. I want to do them because I like the creative process in doing it. The music, which of course I can't play anymore because of the corporate buy-up of all the music. They're actually advertising for him, but no, that's not how they look at it. And I do have independent stuff, and the song you heard at the beginning, "The Mind Is Willing, but the Flesh Is Weak" by Wasmo Nari, Chicago boy, or a band, but he was the main guy. It's not available anywhere. The record companies went bankrupt, and it's not available anymore. So hey, there's nobody, and Wasmo doesn't mind, or at least some of his band members I talked to. But I like the creative process. I like putting together the show. I like having I got the stuff. It's kind of fun. It's like making music, only it's video. So I like to do it. I like to do the research on things. Doing the show has been a motivator, an excuse to do research rather than be lazy. And so I like doing it. I like putting it together. I'd like to think that my presentation is not ego-based. I mean, I go to watch people's videos, and they'll start up the show, and here's what they'll go. Hi, yeah, hi. Am I coming through okay? Because they're looking at themselves on the screen. My screen happens to be over here. A lot of them are down here. So they're like going, hi, well, by the way, today I got new underwear, and yeah, it's pretty good. And yeah. Oh, we got Joe in the chat room says, oh, what color? Well, I don't want to say. I hear this stuff and I'm going like, ah. Tell me the information. Now, I'm sure I get long-winded and sometimes I go off into tangents on something personal. I stand guilty to some degree, but I pray and hope it's not that bad. Because again, part of it is I would have had ADD if I was a kid now, back then, when I was but it wasn't invented yet, right? So when I want to know something, it's like, let's go. I want to know what's this? How about this? What's this? What is this? What is this coming? No, I don't care about that. I don't care. Well, what about this? This is how my mind works. So I guess it's good in a way for I'm researching, but I can't take. And when I got some kind of dyslexia, so when I want to read. Sometimes when I read my eyes will skip down a page and I got to reread it again, and it's trying. That's why I like to put it on a YouTube and have someone, I used to get the audio visual tapes when I was in school. I used to love that, or I used to watch the science shows because I would, that's how I learn better, rather than reading. I don't know. It's a downside, but. So YouTube's a great place. I've learned a lot on speaker building. I'm working into designing my own speaker system. I'm looking to see what I could do for a living after driving a truck. And so I'm in the process of designing my own line source speakers. And I've done a lot of research, and I've learned a lot of things from being on do-it-yourself speaker boards. I ask a question, and I get people who know what they're talking about, and they go bing, bang, boom. Now, they're beyond me in their training. And some of them got a little touch of ego, get a little bit self-indulgent. For the most part, I've been pretty impressed. Boom, 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 boom. I'll get 2 or 3 different approaches, and I go, okay, so I can turn around and put them together. I'm pretty happy about it. I went light years ahead of what I knew about building speakers. So I'm hoping to have that out in the next couple of years. I got to do something else other than drive a truck. It's driving me crazy. I got to go out in the cold in the winter, and if I could slide up. Hey, Calvin, is he in the chat room? Yeah, Calvin's in the chat room. He's a truck driver. He knows. You go out there, I'm not putting out my violin and singing a song or nothing. It's my choice. I did it. I did it. I do it and did it. At this point, I got to kind of go with it. But I mean, you go out there and it's like there's many people on the road who don't take their driving seriously, which is a nice way to say they're idiots. And I got 80,000 pounds at max, probably, 40,000 minimum. I mean, with something, I'm out there driving on this stuff and I got to stop on a dime. I can't. Or I'll kill 15 people. And it's not my fault that I killed them, but I still killed them. I mean, I actually killed them. Not my fault, but I killed them. I don't want that. And if the truck breaks down, there's thousands to repair it. I'm stuck out in the middle of nowhere. And then, of course, they charge you, $500 to show up. Chump fee because you broke down on the road. And I've gone thousands into debt because of this. Because, of course, we had the gas actually, the gas went down and the pay went down. Go figure, right? You would think it'd be the other way around. So anyway, my point here, I just went off in my own personal diatribe, I guess. Here's my example of it. But I'm trying to do something other than drive a truck. You know, with retirement, I have a little retirement and all this stuff, and I'm thinking maybe I could possibly, you know, in the next 5 years do something. And I like, Eric DeRench is not a truck driver. He's there. I like doing this. I like the research. I like talking. I mean, I feel like I'm talking to you guys. I really do. It's a weird thing, and some people can't do it, and some people, I don't know how you do it, but I'll talk, and it's like I'm talking to you, even though you're not saying anything back. But I like doing this. I like presenting the information, but I can't take it anymore with the bread and circuses that's out there in the talk radio, talk internet, YouTube, political, science world. I can't take it anymore. So I'm going to have to, you know, and people, what they've done is they've emailed me questions on topics, which is, I beg for questions. Doesn't mean I always do it. Don't take it personal, okay? I have to be inspired by it, and it's not your responsibility to inspire me. But people ask questions, or they have guests, and I can look into it, and I go into it. I love it. I would love to be interviewed and ask questions. Because I don't want to bring up my own questions. It feels like I'm, you know, if I say, yeah, well, I think I'm going to go into and talk about the proto-Gnosticism that's in John, that goes back to the pre-Gnosticism sects of Christianity, and, you know, and people are going like, hey, I'll get right back to that. You know, but somebody may like to know something about that, or they may understand, like, well, what is this? You know, and it could give me an opportunity to, and plus a lot of times when I do research for someone on a question, of course I'll learn a bunch, but I'll actually go, oh, I didn't look at it that way. So now I've grown as much or more than the person who asked the question or the listeners listening. So whenever, you know, it takes a good teacher, what's the saying? It takes a good teacher to teach the students, but it's great one learns from them. Yeah, I should start on the fine line of guitars and bass. Well, that's kind of out of my league here. The speakers is something I can do. But all right, so I think it's been like an hour-long kind of rant here. And I don't know, maybe I'll just... Yeah, because one of my things, I guess I'll say this toward the end here, is one of the things is that when you have like a left and a right, the answer isn't either, it's both. So if you're going to say, is the answer turn left or turn right, it's actually turn up. You know, it's an off-axis view from those positions. So you take the left and the right together and look up or look down or whatever, and then you get a whole new position. Because what we have done in the dialectic is come up with this two, Republican, Democrat. Both are wrong. Both have points, or at least they used to. And so this is what I found is a default answer when someone gives me, is it A or B? It's going to be both and neither is going to be the answer. Nice ranting ratings will go up. You know, that would be wouldn't that be ironic? Anyway. But there's a little secret that if I could put one sentence out into my years of reality seeking, truth, I don't like the word truth anymore, because now you have your truth and I have my truth. No. Reality. You may not recognize it, but reality is real. You know, so if you don't realize there's a wall ahead of you, just because you don't realize it doesn't mean you're going to go through it. You're going to get whacked, right? That's the reality I'm trying to see. But the answers to things will never be either or. Well, rarely be either or. There'll be a combination. Even if it's 99-1, there'll be a combination of things. And that is the one secret I would come up with. When someone says to you, how can I find out which way is best? you're going to make the best way is going to be your way that you come out of this. If you look at reality as your goal and a goal in reality, and you look at all information given to you and you sift that through the lack of contradiction, because the contradictive points are the most important points. They're telling you how you're wrong. So you don't just weed them out. It's like, oh, we got a rule of evolution and a rule of the geology of the earth. So we got a coal that's 10 million years old, and you open it up, there's like a little tool in there. Well, wait a minute. That doesn't fit in our DNA, so we'll just forget about that. No, that tells you that either coal forms differently, the radio-dated carbon dating has got a problem, or the problem you have in your time frame is wrong. One of those three things are wrong. There's the item in the coal, okay? Provided it wasn't faked, if you can, So that's the if you want to know real truth, real reality, get ready to have nobody have the answers. And a lot of people have the answers. And it's up to you to take like your little Easter egg basket and go out and pull the little gems out along the way. And then you spread them out on your table and you run them together. And you allow them to form the picture. And if you're missing pieces, don't worry about it. Don't try to fill it in. Don't try to make one fit. Let it be. Time goes down, all of a sudden that piece will come up, or enough will come up to allow that piece to form naturally. If I can give somebody one piece of advice from my life, that is the answer. Every moment, every day, everywhere you're at, there are clues to the reality you're trying to learn about all around you, everywhere. But we're so distracted from everything from troubles and traumas, like, oh, how am I going to pay for this truck? How am I going to get this money? All that stuff. I'm thinking while I'm driving, I'm listening to something, I'm missing stuff. I'm watching, even nice, just beautiful stuff. I'll miss the little fawn coming down, on the side of the road there, or whatever, out in the field. I won't miss them on the side of the road. I'll see that, but that is what the deal is you have to realize that you're here for a reason. I'm not talking about some kind of wild esoteric, God has put you there to help. Yes, you're there for a reason. Find out why you're there. What decisions have you made that you could unmake or never make again, or have to just live it out and learn from it to the next one? This is the way to do it. And I'm telling you, I'm really trying to do that. I'm really, really trying. I got a lot of holes I've dug in. And, I could play lottery. Mine comes to it. There's a $500 million lottery ticket. I'll buy a $2 ticket. I mean, I could drink a coffee, which is bad for you anyway, for the most part, or I could throw that $2 away that way. So, every so often I'll do that. And that could happen, but you have to go through whatever you're doing for a reason. And we're all going to die. We're all going to move on to some other level. And I guess the second thing I would put, if somebody asked me for my words of wisdom, would be that what you do here will affect there. Saved by the grace of Jesus, amen. But your quality of life here, there, will be based on here and what you've done here. So if you've taken self-gratification and done things yourself, you'll have to do the hard work there. And we tell you, I'm going to go do a third one. So get your pads out here on number 3. It is easier and or more profitable to do it here than there. You can get miles done here where you get inches or feet done there. This is one of the advantages of life, is that when you're in space-time continuum, the work that you've done on spiritual growth is miles to the foot when you leave here and you're in the spiritual area. Is there another truism? Now, I can't prove that in a classical sense, but it to me, I've come up with a logical deduction based on what's the point of being here? What's the point? For the most part, for the mass majority of people who has ever lived and ever will live, the culmination in our life is going to be misery, with brief periods of some type of nice in between it. That's the truth. Go talk to the millions of people starving around the world, or just are living in squalor around the world. They're, of course, they're in that condition, so they have been beaten down into that condition, so they can go, oh look, I found a penny. What a great day, and they're really happy about it because they've been beaten into that. It disgusts me. And God allows it because one of the main things in here is for people to do the right thing for the right reason. And we're seeing the reasons why real time being displayed for us in 3D reality. Next, they're going to say there ain't no Santa. Well, yeah, I guess I would say if I was going to actually answer that question and philosophically, there isn't a physical Santa, but there is a spirit of Santa. That the whole idea of a person going out into the world with the sole purpose of joy, giving joy to other people. What a wonderful thing. What a wonderful thing. And that's one of our callings as humans, is that we're God with skin on. We have a mandate from God. We don't have to do it. We have a mandate from God to be his skin in the world. To actually go out as you go. You don't have to sit and plan to do some foundation and save the people in Zaire. You could do that. That's fine. But when you get up every day, and you go out into the world, you are God with skin on, and your goal is to what would Jesus do? It's a fancy little saying. You have little wristwatches, a little band thing. What would Jesus do? What would God do? I mean, because Jesus was God with skin on, just like the rest of us. One of the aspects of it. Only he really let God come shining through. When he says, you've seen me, you've seen the Father, it's because God's shining through that man, Jesus. And God blessed Jesus for how he has done by making him the king that he is. And each one of us can do that in our own way. And when you can go out and help somebody, here's a story. I'm not going to cry because it's such a beautiful story. There's a guy I know, Bruce, who he's on Revolution Radio too. He's got a talk show. He's down in Costa Rica, and he'd hired a guy to do some carpentry work. And is building houses down there, the mud houses. And this guy, I don't know what he is, 60, 70 years old, 80 years old, I don't know. He's been carpeting all his life. He's got hand tools. He comes in and he did fine work. Bruce went back to Canada, visiting his parents. While he was there, he picked up a whole set of power tools, which was nothing for him for his price because of the money that he has versus they have. He came back and he gave it to him as a bonus for good work. And the man just cried. Because his whole life, he could never, no matter how good a carpenter was, no matter how hard he worked, he could never, ever buy that. And he just sat there looking at that and cried. That's being God with the skin on. Bruce can be an ass or not, but that blessing will not be forgotten by God. That's not starting a foundation in Zaire. That's not trying to have your church reach $1 million in donations or build a giant building. That's not having 100,000 members. That's one person reaching out with no intent other than to help another person. That's what we need to do. That's our goal every day. Is as you go into the world, live out the principles taught by Jesus and many others throughout time. Give of yourself without expecting reward. When someone asks you to help them, you can help give them a little more. You ask you to go a mile, go two. I mean, it's not literally. It's the point is someone's asking for the bare minimum, help them more. If you do that in your life, you will not lose reward. That is the essence. God. Sorry. But whenever God comes close to me, overwhelming. Wonderful, but overwhelming. All right. Wow, what a night, huh? Hope I didn't make my own little circus here. But that's the bottom line, is that I'm tired of dealing with this stuff out there. People don't want to know. They want to live in their own fantasy world. I don't even know how people can post that often. What do they do for a living? Maybe they're retired. Maybe they got wealthy, and that's fine, or they're lucky, or whatever. That's good. But I'm not going to be part of that. Probably eventually I'm going to even just pull out of Facebook and all that, except for like the do-it-your-own speaker thing. That's pretty cool. Also, I want to mention, I owe quite a bit of money from the business going bad for the last couple weeks. It's getting better now. It's just that it's going to take me 5 years probably to make up. Being in the hospital twice sure didn't help. But I'm going to be shutting down my own server. Really don't need it. My brother stepped up and let me going to go on his. So there might be a time when Feet to the Fire is down or whatever. I'm going to move it over to his server and keep things going. So I also want to work on having a newsletter mailing list so that I can deal direct instead of having to go through social media, which is now becoming like torture to me doing it. I am on Gab and Minds, which I tried to go there as a setup base from avoiding Twitter and Facebook, but it's going from, east wind to the west wind, probably. I mean, they won't censor you there as a company, but you'll still be polluted by idiots, and, probably they've been attacked for censoring. All right, I haven't really seen anything. I haven't really seen what was going on in the chat room, so I just hope people are behaving. I need somebody in there who can throw someone out if they're troublesome. The only trouble I want is you got people who they come in, they get their soapbox, start preaching to the crowd for their own gig, or they start spamming with stuff, and I've been lucky so far people haven't done that, so. All right, I think that's it for today. I'm going to get the ball rolling. I have to go all the way up to Wisconsin Rapids tomorrow. It's about a 10.5-hour drive round trip to get cranberries. And boy, they like cranberries in Europe because that's where all these things are going. You can run your semi off a Raspberry Pi. My sister's all into that stuff. I'd like to get into that. I just don't have the time. The time I do have, you can't see it with the... Here, let me flip this. You can see I'm really getting in this little tube amplifier. You can see it here. I'm using it for my headphones right now, but it actually has speakers. That's the first speakers I'm going to build is for this. And I tell you, what a sweet sound for this. And it's not very expensive. It's made in China, the Chinese design. No, it's not like a European company trying to get slave labor. I mean, it still costs. If you want to buy it new, it's about $300. I got it used from a guy who did reviews for a magazine. And they have the Chinese style tube, Russian tubes, as opposed to the English or American. But still, I'm really surprised at how sweet the sound is on this. Even my headphones sound better. I got a pair of little Optimus speakers, which are kind of a diamond in the rough. I mean, they actually were pretty nice speakers, even though they're Radio Shack. And I used my Carver subwoofer for the bass. And I tell you, it really sounds really sweet. So that's kind of the analog stuff. You can't see over here. My turntable is all under this stuff. So that's really been kind of my joy for the last few weeks, and I appreciate that. All right, that's enough from my own diatribe. What am I digressing into personal stuff, which is irrelevant? I'll leave you guys go. Blessings to all of you that are in the chat room and for hearing this. And you can send email to me because I'm probably going to turn off the comments for these videos. You know, I don't know. But you can send email to me. James at feettothefireradio.com. And if that works, you can always go to Gmail, which is jjancik, JANCIK at gmail.com. That's probably, I guess, the best way, I guess, to get a hold of me because it's in my phone, it's in my work tablet and everything. And I have been talking to some people. People said, hey, I'd like to talk to you. So I've been talking. I got Bob in Jersey. I've been talking to him. He's a listener and he wanted to talk, and I talked. So if you really, want to chat while I'm driving, you can always drop me an email with your phone number, and I can give you a call. During the week, during the day, I'm busy. I'm just driving. So anyway, enough of this blah, blah, blah. I'm going to hit the button, and we will see you next time. God bless all of you.
Thank you.